All right, so the region I'm going to define will be relatively small. So go to here, export 3D model. I will give this model directly into my desktop, Valley. I give this name Valley 3. It's FBX file. And all the setting is the default. Right? Single file, merge objects. Oh, I have to define the polygon. So I will define a polygon like this big, cover 2 bridge, double click finish, then export. So basically that's how you get FBX. You don't have to do this if you can just go ahead, download the file I showed you from this link. Right, so that's the FBX file right here. It's about 10 megabits. So once you have the file, and if you can run 3ds Max, that'd be great. If not, just watch my screen. I'm going to import the FBX into my current program. So that is in the Valley. I will using the one I gave you called Valley 2. Just make sure everything is default except the unit. Make sure it's meter, because everybody in the professional world using the metric system, right? It's much easier to use. You don't want to mess up with inch or foot. So here, just you either choose automatic or choose meter. Just make sure it's meter. Then click OK. Boom! You should have your like 1 mile long site directly in Max. This is not an introduction tutorial for Max, so if you don't know how to navigate, this is kind of the same thing for Autodesk product. And you see the navigation cube, you can sort of using that to look around. You see the model looks pretty nice, right? You have all the highways, all the streets. You can also see here on the shoulder, I use this yellow strip to separate the geometry. This became pretty important because if you see this yellow line is embedded under the ground. Okay, so that means in the future, if you want to calculate the physics, the collision between a vehicle and a road, this yellow strip is a part of the collision objects. It's not like the white markers in the middle. This marker is floating above the ground. You do not want to calculate collisions for this guy, right? You can refer to my previous tutorial how to treat this as a 2 separate objects. I do not cover here in Max. That was done in InfraWorks. And also, if you do want to confirm, to zoom in, you can sort of see here in the InfraWorks, this white marker is floating, this yellow line is embedded. Okay, so they will be separate because when you export a 3D model, you do have this option, merge objects with the same texture. That's the reason I want to treat this as a 2 separate texture. So once I have this in Max, let's go ahead, open the layer. You can see a bunch of objects. It's actually 32 objects being transferred. If I do the edge face, you can see here's the polygon. They all looks pretty nice, right? Everything's there. You see this billboard tree is pretty cheap, right? They just basically like a couple of polygons. It's not like 3D branches. All right, so I'm going to transfer this into Unreal. But one thing I want to do is to clean up the model a little bit. So right now I have 32 objects. I would like to separate them based on layers. So first, let's holding Control. I can add my selection. I want to select all the terrain together. Then I'm going to create a new layer. I gave this new layer name as okay, rename, right click, rename. I will give the name as terrain. Okay, this became pretty handy in the future, because if I turn off, right, you will see the terrain will be invisible. Okay, so I will do the same thing for the road and also the bridge. So drag a selection window, and I have mesh 1222 selected. That will create a new layer based on the selection. Give this layer name road. So now if I turn off the road, it will disappear. You do notice I did not put a white marker in the road. The reason is this white marker, I'm not gonna calculate collisions in the future, so I would rather just leave them outside. Right, it's not a part of the road. I might miss a few rows when I do the selection, so you can always drag a selection. So have a bunch of stuff selected. Then make sure you click the layer. Then you can move the selection into the active layer. So let's redo this. Select, click, move objects into the active layer. So they basically merged these objects into the road layer. I can actually turn it off. So you can see the road layer is my current active layer. I can continue to add other geometries. Just make sure they all being moved into the road layer. So here, add into road. Because the road is hidden, so as soon as you add them, they will disappear. For the bridge, this became tricky, because the bridge, I do want to calculate the collision, right? So I want to select the bridge and then choose add to active layer. So bridge is a part of the collision. I believe this is also a road, right? No, this is not. This is a white marker. Yeah, this is a part of some roof, I guess. Oh, it's a part of the road. Yeah, see, this object, suppose I should give a different color though. Yeah. So I should separate this. This need to do some extra work. So if I go to edit mesh, well, ideally you want to do this in Unreal. In InfraWork, because I think for some reason this road came in with a white color. That's the reason they are merged to the markers. That's really not the right way. But in 3ds Max, you can always go to edit mesh, and you can select individual face, and then you can make this face separate, I believe. This is called detach. I want to detach to elements. Click OK. Not sure, are they detached? They are not. They're still there. Oh, another way is we don't drive on this bridge. Let's do another detach really quick. Uncheck this. So if you detach as object, let's give this name bridge. Okay. So I should have a new object show up. Yes, the name is a bridge. Okay. So this is how I separate the objects. And I want to make sure this bridge is going to the road layer. So click the road, make sure it's active. Then in the bridge, I will move the bridge into the road layer. So here we go. Right. Some actual work, but that's not too bad. All right, so that's pretty much. Oh, I missed one piece of the terrain. So click that, and I can click the terrain. Make sure terrain layer is your active layer. Then you can move, right? Oh, sorry, undo it. For some reason, I drag the terrain under the road. Let's drag it back. This is how you organize the layers. I think I accidentally dragged it underneath. Okay. All right, that's good. So the goal, it might look a little bit confusing, but the goal is just really simple. Is to reorganize the geometries based on the layer. So at the end, I have one layer for the terrain, one layer for the road, and everything else is in a 0 layer. So if I turn off everything, and return on the road, you can see the road layer is basically just this. Strange. Oh, for some reason some mesh is turned off. Right, so the road layer is here, the terrain layer is here, and the 0 is the default. So everything else is in a 0. Okay. So that's how you do this in Max. Then the next step is I'm going to merge objects. So let's turn off everything. And let's start with the terrain. Under terrain, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 objects, right? I want to merge these 5 objects as a single objects. So the way to do that is, in a modifier tag, I can see a button name is attach list. If I click that, it asks me how many objects you want to attach. You might notice all of this is underneath the same layer. So it's pretty smart. The program understands, well, if you put objects in the same layer, you want to, attach them together. So here I can holding shift, select all of them, attach. And I'll use the default. Boom, they became a single object. See that? If you like, you can actually rename this to, I don't know, terrain 1, T1. So it's just easier, you understand this later. So this became one object. Let's turn it off. Then I will do the same thing for the road. So right now I have one object selected. Then you do the same thing, attach list. You're holding shift, select all of them, attach, default, okay. And I gave this name as road 1, right? So they became one objects. That's all you need to do, just merge terrain and road. For other stuff like trees, buildings, you don't have to worry because we are not really calculating collision for them. So even they are separate, it's totally fine. I'm going to save the file. Let's give a name Valley 3. Save it. You're done, right? So you got a 3ds Max file. The next thing I'm going to do is transfer this Max into Unreal using DataSmith. This might be something you don't have the DataSmith plugin yet. I'm not sure if this computer has installed, but just watch my screen. If you export, right, in Max, you might have this option name is Datasmith, right? If you don't have this option, it's okay. I will give you the file later. You can bring into Unreal anyway. So this is called Datasmith. And I gave this Datasmith file a name. Let's see. I will put it under the Valley. I will give this name Valley 2. Okay. Save the file. Click OK. So it's done. It's really fast. As a result, you can see on my screen in the Valley folder, it generates this guy. The name is Valley 2 Datasmith. Right? It also has a folder being generated, Valley 2 Asset. Inside Asset is all the textures. Really smart. Okay. So next thing is I'm going to run Unreal, and I'm gonna load this Datasmith into Unreal. So I will go ahead, launch my engine. Thanks, Nick. So you know the Unreal Studio now is available. So I will show you if you do have Unreal Studio, how easy it is to actually bring a Datasmith from 3ds Max into the engine. It's very straightforward. Because I'm running a lot of programs, let's just close InfraWorks to release a little bit of memory. Okay. Maybe I will turn off the Teams. Just make sure you are not draining up all your memory. So here we are really talk about from InfraWorks, right, through FBX into Max, and from Max into Datasmith into Unreal. Okay, so that is the whole process. So here it's definitely still running Unreal. Let's wait a little bit. And I will start with a brand new project. Oh, let's close the Teams. There we go. All right, so if you create a new project, you see I have this option named the Unreal Studio. Again, if you don't have it, I think you probably have to install this through your Unreal launcher. Right, Nick? Yeah. That's the place, right? So in the Unreal launcher, if you log in, and you should see something like Unreal Studio. Well, this is everything I have downloaded a long time ago. But I think you can just search the marketplace. You can find Unreal Studio available. You can download. Once you download and relaunch the Unreal Engine, you should have this new project option as Unreal Studio. Okay, so I will do that. Let's give the name Valley 3. Create a new project. So this is a blank template using Unreal Studio as your default settings. So create a project. It will relaunch. Okay. Yeah, by the way, Marketplace is the kind of collection of tools you can use. I think Unreal Studio is one of them. Maybe you can search. I don't know. Maybe it's not. Yeah. You can find it somewhere in this place. Alright, so I have Unreal Engine just generated a new project, and this project has a Datasmith as a channel to input files. So here I will go ahead, actually go here DataSmith. I'm going to load the Valley project, right? I'm gonna point to valley2.datasmith. Open. Ask you which folder to save it. Just using content, that's fine. Only do the geometry and the materials and import. So that's how you bring the file in. Oh, but let me cancel that first, really quick. Sorry, I forgot one thing. In Max, it's always a good idea you check the location of your site. By default, this one might be elevated. This is 0, 0. So this one is pretty high. I can use a W to move this close to 0, 0. Okay. Otherwise, this site is kind of floating in the air. So you can just make this close to 0, 0. That's better. So we'll export this one more time. Valley 3, DataSmith, Valley 2 DataSmith. Then I come back to Unreal, DataSmith, Valley 2 DataSmith. Alright. Now you can see the site automatically show up. Simple like that. So why not I zip this file so you will have it, right? Valley 2 DataSmith. Let me just give it to you. Oh, because the computer right now is recompiling the materials, it's getting a little bit slow. Yeah, it's drained all the memories. So it's better we wait until this finish. Okay. I don't know how long this will take. Yep, it's basically take over all the memories. I will put this zip file into the shared drive here, so you guys could download. All right. Called Valley. All right, cool. So if you refresh the same folder, the same folder you download FBX, you should see a zip file. This zip file is the DataSmith file. You can download, unzip, then you can load into your Unreal. All right. But make sure you have the Unreal Studio installed, right? Then you can use the DataSmith right here to load your geometry. So right now you go ahead, download, and see if you can bring it in. Well, it's still compiling. I can actually zoom in a little bit so you can see what the geometry looks like. It's a little bit hard to see right now. But if I do a play, this is the default. I should be able to sort of look around. Fly. You can see all the trees. These are all billboard trees. I can use escape to stop the fly. It's still compiling, so it's not really fast. You might also notice the quality of my graphic is pretty bad, right? It's not as sharp as the one you have later. The reason is I'm using a laptop, and you can always turn on the. This is something I want to show you really quick. Engine scalability settings. I changed all my settings to low in order to maintain the high frame rate. If I do bouncing everything up, my computer will freeze. Okay, so this is true if you have installed Unreal in your laptop at home. You want to check your graphic card. You probably want to go all the way to low in order to make it run smoothly. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Also, I see a lot of trees here. This is definitely not a good practice. I don't know why they're here. See the tiny trees here? This is probably due to some of the errors I made. So theoretically, I mean, in Max, this is the quick way you can check. Yeah, you see this weird tiny tree here? They are not really contributing visually, right? They're just waste the memory. So in the future, if you see some situation like this, if you zoom out to see, hey, what's going on here, you probably want to delete these trees. I think definitely this is the job I'm gonna take care in the future. Just get rid of these tiny trees. We don't need them. Okay. Anyhow, if you already have the file, that's fine. Just leave them there. Okay, so here the compile is almost done. 26. Yeah, it's a weird tiny tree here. If you check the content under the geometry, you can see all of the geometries come in. You should have geometry named T1, that is terrain. Road 1, that is road. So it's really good. If you double click T1, you probably can see this is the terrain static mesh. Is right here. I will probably turn on the collision for these objects. Okay, use complex collision. Save the file. I will do the same thing for the road. So road 1, F to fit in. I will turn on the collision for the road. Okay, save it. So I have both the road and terrain turned on the collision. Now if I play again, if I move forward, see I cannot penetrate the ground anymore. I will be bouncing back. Right? Because this engine is pretty smart. It understands, hey, here are the collision objects. You should not go through it. The same thing for the road. If I try to go through it, I cannot. But for the tree, yes, I can go through the trees. No problem. Okay. Escape to stop the playing. So I think that's all you need to do to set up, the objects. I do want to mention is Datasmith is pretty smart. It's using metric system. Everything coming in should be in the right scale. So next step is I want to put a car here, right? So I will go ahead, content browser. I will add a new package. I give, maybe I add a vehicle package right here. If you recall, this is one of the template I can add into my project, so they will show up right here. And also I want to make sure my start player, which is here, if you use F you can fit in. I want to move this guy a little bit closer to the road. I use F, fit in, F, fit in. Okay, so I think that's pretty good start point for the player. For the world settings, I want to change the game mode to vehicle game mode. So that will populate the vehicle into the start point. Then let's play. Boom, you have the car falling down from the sky. So I can use W to move forward. I can use tab to switch to the first person view. I will drive slowly, right, cross the bridge, because I know the collision works. You see, you are not falling down. Yeah, I'm driving through the bridge. That's good. You can also do, you see, the terrain is all accurate, right? It's go up and down. Oh, it's probably not good. But I can use a W to, back to the track. I think spacebar is the brake. I don't know, is this one gonna lead me back? Let's see. So WASD, right? Not a good driver. But I think this one will going up slope eventually. That's it. Not sure. Yeah, so the collision is all automatic. So that means for the very sharp, steep slope, you can't really go up. This is all based on the real physics. So that's the beauty about this engine. You can easily see a whole side. Yeah, I'm trying to go to see the trees, because I think the billboard tree is something I really want to check. So here you do see the white marker, right? Because it's a separate objects, and we do not turn on the collision. So the white marker does not affect your car driving at all. But imagine if you do turn on the collision, you get a lot of bump, right? You will drive across these white markers. Yeah, I guess I lost. I don't know how to how we can get back. Maybe I will just replay. Yeah, where is the car? No, I think the tree is on the other side. Yes. Yeah, so here's all the trees. Right, looks not bad. I mean, I'm using the lowest quality display right now, but if you play on your computer, the graphic will be much better than what I have. Right, you will see a much beautiful thing here. Anyway, I think that's the whole process. Bring the file from InfraWorks into 3ds Max into Unreal. So let me save the map. Give this name Valley Drive. Yeah, that's it. This is all about this tutorial. I will stop the recording